always around. I mean, I met them. The very first time that I met them, like face to face. Kato told me that they had been friends for a while. Blah blah blah. Actually, pretty good dudes. Really humble. No ego. No nothing. Just pretty humble dudes. Actually, Maya, the singer, was there that day. They were like all starstruck with her. She was there, and it was just a normal day. Went home, but I started seeing them a little bit more. But then I started seeing them with like different. I would see them with also from this same disciples. I would see them. So
the biggest people.
Yeah, so I started putting two and two together, and I was like, okay, you know, but. My thing of how I've always carried myself is like, I'm not the type of guy to take a picture with the celebrity. Like I don't want a picture. I just want to shake your hand. That's it. So never asked them for nothing. I would see them at nightclubs. They would buy me a bottle here and there. You know, say what's up. You know, they were the only ones that were actually riding around in Bentleys in the neighborhood. So you knew who they were.
Did everyone start to get the impression, okay, these guys are even yet another step up the food chain from someone like Kato?
Oh yeah, those if you wanted to be somebody, you wanted to be them.
Were they targets? Did they conduct themselves in a manner they should have been?
I think that when you're that up in the food chain, man, I think that you're supposed to carry yourself in a whole, like, I call it being a ninja in the shadows. If it would have been me in those shoes, I would have been riding around in an old ass Nissan with regular clothes on and just, you know.
But that's no fun.
It's not, but it's safe. I mean, we see it from all the stories, American Gangster. We see all the stories that's always. I mean, even Scarface, the woman, the pizzazz, like it always leads to that. But I think it's in our.
That's the whole point of doing it, especially when you're young.
Yeah, it's in our genes to like want to shine. So I don't know. It's the devil, man. Like it's crazy. Actually, when I moved down here with 3 trucks and about 120 grand.
And that was fresh out of beating the gun case.
Yeah.
For a couple months.
But I was broke like 2 weeks later because I was still living the lifestyle and I didn't have nothing coming in.
Income, yeah.
So I had to get a job. I started as a laborer. The first day I worked, I almost cried because I was digging holes for $10 an hour. Then after that day, I was like, man, fuck this. If I'm gonna be working, I'm gonna be fucking superintendent. Why should I be digging holes if I'm smarter than this?
Yeah.
So I started studying. I started studying the codes. I went to OSHA, the safety construction school, got all my certifications. 6 months later, I ended up being the superintendent for the whole company. So I've always been a hustler. I've always wanted more. So that's what I did. So me going back to Chicago was it just wasn't an option. So when I got the call from Valerie, and I went over there to the funeral and everything, it didn't sink in until I came back. I fell into a pretty deep depression mode, started using a lot of drugs. Just was really hooked on drugs bad.
Marijuana, cocaine.
Crack cocaine. And I would drink every day, I would smoke every day. It was really bad. The depression was really bad. I don't know why, it just felt an emptiness in my heart. Maybe because I was just telling your buddy, about a year later, Kato came to me in a dream, and we were both sitting on a bus stop. And he was telling me that he was proud of me. And I was telling him that I wanted to go back to Chicago because I missed the lifestyle. And he's like, no, stay down here. You're gonna be safe down here. You're gonna make it. And I was like, no, I wanna go back. And he's like, just promise me you'll stay here. He got on the bus and left, I started chasing the bus, started crying, and at the time my girlfriend woke me up. She said, "You were crying, like snobbing," and from that day on, I stopped using drugs. I stopped smoking crack cocaine, and I started getting my life a little bit better. I can't say 100% because it's not true, but I started doing better, and he's one of my biggest motivational factors now, like to actually do what I'm doing now. Because if I don't finish it, then it was all for nothing. I have my own personal thoughts about everything that happened. I wasn't surprised when Valerie ended up with Junior, you know what I mean? So, they actually came out here. There's a lot of things out there, man.
You're sitting here with wigs and glasses, and how are you living your everyday lives?
I came from a wonderful family of law enforcement. I never thought that I would enter in a world of drug trafficking.
I always tell people there's like 4 sides to a story. I wasn't surprised that Valerie was with Junior because Valerie's very beautiful and everybody wants a trophy wife, and
that was, to refresh everyone's memory, Kato was already Valerie's second gangster husband, not to mention boyfriend.
Not anybody could afford Valerie. Valerie was very high maintenance.
And she added to a guy's business to
yes.
some degree.
She knew how to carry herself. She had connections. She knew how to mingle the crowd. So it was a plus. They came out here on vacation, I want to say about maybe a year later after Kato's death.
Oh, they were together that quick.
And they were out here, and I went to go see them.
Do you think they were fooling around Kato was alive, or you don't know?
Nah, I don't.
But they immediately.
Yeah.
You think their relationship was as much of a business venture as a love story?
They probably started that business and then ended up love, if you want to call it that.
If you want to call it love.
But they came out here. I seen them. I talked to Junior. Then after that, I didn't see her or heard from her for a while.
What did you and Junior discuss? I mean,
nothing. We were just they came out here. I kind of showed them around town. Pretty much.
At this point, they're, according to federal documents and their own confessions and El Chapo himself and the records of the Sinaloa cartel, at this time you would have been showing them around Phoenix. I mean, they could have been 2 of the couple biggest drug dealers in the entire United States.
Yeah.
Did you get that feeling, or you weren't talking about that kind of stuff?
Nah, man. It's just, I think the biggest thing that Valerie always seeked of me when we would meet up or talk was that bond, that family bond that we had. And then when they came in, it was, hey, how are you doing? We went out to eat. We hung out, had some beers.
And it didn't bother you that she had jumped straight from his death to a new guy. That's just the way it was.
It's just the way it is, man. I mean,
that's how she was anyway. So.
I mean, I think a lot of people, I just separated from my baby's mom, and a week later I met my girl, and we're living together now. Yeah. And it's like, they tell me, oh, you moved too fast. I'm like, no, motherfucker, I spent 17 years in prison. Like, what is fast? Like, I want to be happy too. So like, it is what it is, man.
So how'd you get this last prison sentence?
I was staying out of trouble, and I got an itch for making easy money. I was working actually part-time as a bouncer at a strip club.
What year would this have been?
I want to say 2008, 2009.
So for all this money you made, there's not really much left over.
I don't have shit. Working as a bouncer, I meet this cat, this Mexican cat, and I know how to read people right away, man. I know what you're doing by what you're wearing, what you're dressed like, what you're driving. So right away, I know what's up. So I start befriending him. There's always something behind my madness. So I hook up with him slowly, throws me 50, get rid of it one day. He's like,
Now,
damn.
you were sent to Chicago or got rid
No,
of it?
right here.
Okay. The trial of Juan El Chapo Guzman is taking place in New York right now, but most of the specific charges that got him brought to New York and extradited from Mexico so he could stand trial in the United States got their start in Chicago, Illinois. To quote the federal prosecutor, we started a case against the traveling vice lords on the west side of Chicago and went all the way up to the mountaintops of Mexico. In 2008, twin brothers from Chicago's Little Village neighborhood set in motion the criminal charges that led El Chapo being indicted in the United States with a single recorded phone call. Their names were Pedro and Margarito Flores, and during the mid-2000s, they were possibly the biggest distributors of Sinaloa cartel drugs in the entire United States.